You're
Yeah.
secure. You don't need to keep going that hard.
Agreed.
You don't want to work yourself to death. Definitely.
Agreed.
Okay, next one. Considering to date interfaith. Desperate or is that an investment?
Ooh, so this was a tough one.
It is. This one's a tough one.
Oh, I
Because
don't
it's not an easy
know.
answer because your faith totally dictates your life when you're serious about it.
Oh, I don't know if I can agree to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I have dated outside of my faith before. I've dated someone that was Muslim,
Okay.
and it actually wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. He was very, very, very disciplined and committed to his faith, and I love that. And I also have a little bit more of an understanding because when I graduated from Virginia State University with a business degree, but we were required to read the Quran actually because it was a religious studies course.
Yes.
And I read the entire Quran. And I'm like, you know what? This is such an interesting book. So after that religious studies course, it was literally my senior year, and me and him started dating a year later. So I had a little bit more of an understanding of the religion, and it was a pretty good relationship. But in the end, I don't know if at this age I would date interfaith. But back then, because I had just read the Quran, I think I was a little bit more open to it. But as I've gotten deeper and deeper into Christianity, I don't know. I don't know if I would do it again.
Yeah.
Just because back then I was only 21, 22. Now I'm 34 and I'm thinking about children and what faith? What are we going to do?
Exactly.
So
because that's what you have to think about when you start to
Right.
get older and you want to have kids. Y'all going to the mosque or y'all going to church?
Right. I have
Y'all
more
doing this
understanding
Christmas
now.
or-
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back then I wasn't thinking long term. I wasn't thinking about our kids. I wasn't thinking about the principles that they would be raised on. But now that I'm getting older and I'm thinking about children and generation after generation, I just don't know if I want that complication.
Yeah.
So I would say for me personally, no.
Yes.
But I don't think that it's desperate.
Okay.
I think that you two as individuals coming together, y'all have to really have deep conversations. So I
Yes.
don't know if I would call it desperate, but I know for me it would not be for me.
Yeah.
It's not an investment that I would make.
Yes. Same here. I would not call it desperate, but I am going to be firm and say it's a no-no.
Yeah.
I would not recommend it whatsoever
Yeah.
because your faith totally dictates your life.
Yeah.
Your faith dictates what, and it's, holidays are very superficial, but that's just, people really, especially in American culture, we go hard for our holidays.
Yeah.
So just think about even something as superficial as that. Would you want to compromise on something as surface level as holidays? If you don't even want to do that, then don't marry interfaith. And I really even take away the holidays. Your faith dictates how you move in life.
Yes.
Your faith dictates who you're praying to. Your faith
Yes.
dictates, like you said, how you're going to raise your children. So how could you possibly, the scripture tells us to be equally yoked. There's no way you're going to be equally yoked if you do not have the same faith. There is absolutely no way. So,
JR, I want to be the first one to go and comment and say something. I'm going to pull the reverse Uno card, and I want Black America to listen to me very carefully when I say this. We are the most Christian, non-Christian group of people that ever walk the face of this planet. We do not practice what we preach. We will say 5 different pieces of scriptures on 5 different segments of the book and not adhere to any of them. But yet we try to stand on principle saying that our faith, our faith, our faith. We have more faith, and this is the God honest truth. I find more often that Black people have more faith in man's law than God's law. I'm going to say that one more time. I find it more often than not that a lot of Black people have more faith in man's law than God's law. Let that simmer in your spirit for a moment and think about what I just said. It's very important that we get to a point where we try to, people understand what is faith and and it's also very important to have those conversations because she brought up children. That's actually a really, really good segment. How do we raise this child? What are the value systems in which we instill in? Do we raise them in this manner? Do we raise them in that manner? Do we send them to public school? Do we send them to private school? Do we homeschool them, have their educational path?
Or religious school. They got religious school.
Or religious school? Do we send them to boarding school? What does that look like? These are the conversations that I'd be talking about when I tell when we get on these panels and we talk about certain things. It's like I don't think people are genuinely talking about certain things that once they get to that crossroad, that's when everything starts to kind of buckle. They're like, we just never discussed it. We never talked about it. We talked about that trip to Dubai. We talked about that trip to Paris. We talked about that trip to the Turks and Caicos, but we didn't talk about family planning. We didn't talk about how we're going to raise our children and what value systems are we going to instill in them, right? And sort of that is a very pinnacle question. And whatever religious group you belong to or whatever faith you subscribe to, at the end of the day, I think there are principles in which everybody needs to adhere to. It can't be sometime, most of the time, right? Because if you don't take it serious, what do you expect your children to do? Because you're their guardian and they're following your footsteps. The things that you're putting out there, they're learning and programming, and you're setting them up for whatever is to come out there in life. And sort of, you need to come to the crossroad of what's important for your next of kin.
I think that for a man, it would be it'd be a poor decision for him to make to choose a woman that doesn't believe in what he believes in. That's asking for problems later on down the line. If that woman is if you're Muslim and that woman is Christian or believes in or was raised in a Christian faith and she's not willing to conform to Islam or vice versa, I think that's just a problem brewing to happen. Just like you said, Louise, because now is once kids are involved, once the even though the values overall are pretty much the same, there's going to be some type of conflict or issue that's going to arise, and that man is going to make a decision, be it if he practiced the faith 100% of the time or 50% of the time. There's going to be a decision that he makes that's going to be based off of what it is that he believes in his faith or his religion, and that is going to cause a problem at some point. So I think that is I think that will be a very, very poor decision for a man to make to choose a woman that doesn't believe in what he believes in and not willing to conform.
Got what I'm saying?
Did y'all just see that, or was that my computer? Something flashed? That was just my computer. Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I agree. That's listen. I mean, maybe Baptists and Methodists, I don't know, but you talk about people who have two totally different beliefs. How does that work? Like, that's not. I don't think it's gonna work. Somebody's got to give, and that means that you're not so deep into yours that you willing to give it up for his. It's just something ain't right.
It's like mixing vodka. It's like mixing vodka and milk. But notice notice this: if everybody
Hey,
paid close
that's kind
attention
of
to
like
the video,
babies, though, eh? that might work for some.
yeah, for real.